Hi, kita sambung the last part of chapter 10. Okay, in the previous video, at the last part, I have mentioned that when you do crisis communication, there is a need for you to come up with a formal plan. So, and then I also briefly explained what are the 5 steps or 5 details or information that needs to be put into the formal plan. So these are formal in the sense that they are typically printed up and passed around to appropriate managers, and it differs of course from one crisis to another, but these are the basic 5 things that you need to have in a crisis plan. A is again a list of whom to notify in an emergency. Number 2, an approach to media relations. Number 3, a strategy for notifying employees. 4, location to serve as a crisis headquarters. And last but not least, the description of the plan. Now, in number 1, a list of whom to notify in an emergency is basically coming up with a name list and with contact details. Yeah. This list should contain names and numbers of everyone on the crisis team, as well as numbers to call externally, such as fire department, police department, and other enforcement agencies that are relevant to that specific crisis. Okay, so and from time to time this list needs to be updated because people change. Yes, sometimes phone numbers change, but of course numbers to police departments and fire department may not change from time to time, but it I mean the direct or the general number, but it is safe for you to have the direct phone number to the nearest police station, nearest hospital, nearest fire department. Okay, and again update from time to time the contact person, because these people may change responsibilities in their department or agency. Okay, that's number 1. And then next is an approach to media relations. Okay, in a crisis situation, we normally hold on to a phrase that is tell it all and tell it fast. Yeah, but to a certain extent this is true, because again, coming back to the characteristics of crisis, fast pace of event, people seem to be there seem to be insufficient of information, etc. Okay, but one thing for sure is that when you want to tell it all and tell it fast, you must give an extra caution when you are communicating with the media, because this rule may not be suitable for us in communicating with the media. Now, perhaps a better adjustment should be made to this is that you when dealing with the media in times of crisis, you tell as much as you can and as soon as you can. Okay, which means that you cannot tell all. Okay, especially when things are still under investigation, things have not been cleared or approved by the management or your company, and of course there are other things. For example, if it involves agencies like the police, if it's still under investigation, you do not want to give out information that are confidential. Okay, so in times like this, tell as much as you can, taking into account things that should not be untold, should not be told, and of course as soon as you can. When you deal with the media, you want to get things out fast, because that's how they do it now. Again, reporting timely to their social media, etc., will require them to update that news from time to time. Okay, so we do this so that we do not jeopardize the credibility of our organization, and at the end of the day backfire to us. So if the organization has done a good job in all this while in dealing with the media, which means that you maintain a good rapport and connection, you don't turn on and off your relationship, the media will then become more understanding towards the organization in times of crisis. They would not be pressing you for so much information, but rather give you space to come up with the appropriate and relevant information that for you to feed the media, right? Now, Next comes the strategy to notify employees. Now, employees should be notified as soon as possible, yeah, because these people are considered family, it would be best for them to hear from you instead of from the media. Okay, this can be done now easily with social media. I'm sure there are communication applications such as WhatsApp and Telegram that is able to cater to pass the message around to everyone as a group, yeah. So things gets communicated fast through these platforms. So use these platforms to notify your employees that a crisis has struck, and ensure that everyone stays calm and under control, and then be sure to update everyone regularly as well, because when crisis strikes an organization, other people who knows that you work for the organization would want to somehow know from you. So it is important that everyone gets the right information and be able to share, yeah, the same information as a standardized detail. It is also important to treat them as a frontliners, because the media may not be able to approach you personally, but approach people whom they know work for the organization. Okay, and at the same time, you can also use your employees as a channel of communication. Yeah, they may update on their own social media accounts. Maybe they have followers, maybe they are Insta famous, for example. So these people are able to speak on your behalf. So try and feed them as soon as possible with the correct details. Okay. Also, an organization should take pains to ensure that a plan to notify employees is created in advance, yeah, and is also included in the crisis plan. Okay. Perhaps now, as I mentioned, it's easier than before to notify everyone just through social media platforms or outlets, yeah. But in those days, you know, imagine when there is no social media account and there's no internet, and you have maybe 6,000 employees. How are you going to notify them, right? So things are easier now. So use these social media platforms as much as possible, yeah, and be smart while using them as well. Next is a location to serve as a crisis headquarters. Okay, now all companies really need to do this ahead of time, yeah, which is to identify an area that can easily be converted, yeah, to such an operation. Okay, it may be ground zero, it may be 1 or 10 kilometers away from ground zero, but a place that can serve as a headquarter that is in the closest proximity possible, yeah, to ground zero. Why? Because this area needs to be converted into a crisis HQ, which is equipped with all the possible communication technologies and equipments that will enable not only the organization to communicate with the world outside, but also for the media to work, yeah. Normal crisis headquarters should have at least, yeah, laptop, PC, printer, fax machine, telecommunication, Wi-Fi up and running, printers, along with other equipments that is relevant to run the operation. Okay, this headquarters does not only serve the people from your organization, but may also be able to house the media, because the media would want to gather in one area for press conferences, yeah, to hear from you, to get information from you, and also a space where they can work with, yeah, with internet connection, etc., to upload their stories on their media platform, and also to update their other media organizations. If you remember, during MH370 for Malaysian Airlines, they converted a function room in Hotel Sama-Sama, where the press conference was held almost every hour at first, yeah, and then of course there along the way there are bigger gaps in times of the appearance, but it is set in Hotel Sama-Sama because the airport is there, Malaysia Airport's office, Malaysia Airport is there, Malaysia Airlines office is there, and it's the closest to ground zero for them. Yeah, since we sort of don't know where the airplane is, so that is ground zero for them. So that's where they set up the headquarters. Yeah, that's where they report from, and that's where the media people gather, yeah, to report, yeah, to publish their story, etc. So everything needs to be set up for the media in times of crisis. Okay, last but not least, a description of the plan. Now, companies should have the crisis plan. Of course, it should address logistical details as well. For example, yeah, how the families of the victims can be accommodated in case of an airline crash. For example, again, MH370 families were placed in the hotel or at hotels that are near to KLIA, yeah, so so that they are within reach, yeah. The MAS people were able to contact their families and able to reach them personally, face to face, in a shorter period of time, yeah, because some of them may not be from Kuala Lumpur, from outside, so they are given accommodation nearby where the crisis headquarters are. So these are just some logistical details. There are a lot of other things here must be included in the detailed plan as well. Right now, after you have come up with the formal plan, okay, and with 5 things included just now, next is to communicate during the crisis. Okay, so this we will do in another video.